New beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padres gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show for September 28, 2022. Padres and the Dodgers, the middle game of this three-game set. It's the last series that the Padres will face the Dodgers in this regular season. We'll see if they face the Dodgers come playoff time. But last night, starting off this series, exciting win. I thought that the atmosphere at Petco was really, really good. Wasn't as many Dodger fans as probably I expected, but it wasn't the weekend, so I guess it's not that surprising. Um, I would think the atmosphere is going to be really good again today and tomorrow because both games are night games. They don't have like a day game or anything because the Padres are staying at home. I don't know what the Dodgers are doing. They might be going back home as well. Um, but yeah, Musgrove on the mound today against Julio Urias. I have that breakdown, by the way, on yesterday's ending. Alfaro walking, literal walk-off, and kind of what led to that. Kimbrel not being able to find the strike zone consistently with his fastball, which I guess is kind of predictable. They walk Soto to get to Manny, strike him out, but then they walk Drury, walk Alfaro. Uh, you walk Soto, maybe you could have gotten him out, but you didn't. You put him on base, and that's a runner that forces it to be bases loaded, and you have nowhere to put Alfaro. And so you walk him, and the game's over. So I thought that was an interesting decision, as I kind of talked about on my breakdown, but I encourage you to check that out. It's on this YouTube channel, and subscribe if you have not already. Daily Padres content. Let's get to the pregame portion of today. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to put them in the chat. You can use the super chat button to make sure I get to that comment. And then on regular videos, you can use the super thanks button if you want to as well. I appreciate the support. Dodgers are looking for their 107th win of the season. Not really playing for anything right now. They have the best record pretty much locked up. Definitely best record in the National League. Padres on the other side of things, obviously they're playing for still a playoff spot. They definitely have things on their side, though. That's the good news. Magic number is 4 because Milwaukee lost yesterday, and the Padres obviously won last night. So, combination of 4 Padres wins, Brewers losses, and they're in. I think the Brewers will lose probably a couple more times, and let's say over the last 8 games, the Brewers go 6-2. The Padres only have to go 2-6 to make the postseason because they'd have 2 wins and Milwaukee would have 2 losses. There you go. That would be pushing it towards the end of the year, obviously, and you don't want to do that. You want to give guys rest going into that Friday for the wild card series. But my point is, the odds are very favorable towards the Padres in terms of them making the postseason over the Brewers. Right now, the Padres have the second wild card spot. They're not even chasing Philadelphia. Philly's chasing them. Milwaukee is chasing Philadelphia right now. They're not even focused on the Padres. But obviously, for us to guarantee a postseason spot, we're focused on what the Brewers are doing. But with that second wild card right now, Philly lost yesterday as well to the Cubs. And so now the Padres, let me double check just to make sure it's correct. But I believe I saw they have like a 2-game lead on Philadelphia for that second wild card spot, which would be the 5 seed, and then they'd go play the 4 seed, which is going to be the NL East loser. If they win that series, then they play the Dodgers in the division series. But we're obviously getting ahead of ourselves there. My phone's not really loading. Of course, right when I want to pull the standings up, it's not going to load. All right, well, we'll get to that. Once it loads, I will tell you that. 6:40 the first pitch today. Obviously, 4 is the magic number to clinch. As I just mentioned, Musgrove against Urias on the mound tonight. Here it is. Padres are 2.5 games up on Philadelphia for that final wildcard spot. There we go. My phone finally loaded. All right, so I'll get your comments and stuff in the chat. But first off, talk about this pitching matchup. Julio Urias on the mound for the Dodgers. He's had the Padres number. He's had pretty much every team's number this year. He's been tremendous. Has a 2.25 ERA going into tonight's start. Last time out was September 22nd. Went 5 1/3. Gave up 1 run. Gave up 1 run in the start before that. He has not allowed more than 2 runs in a start since July 10th. That was when he went 2 innings, gave up 5 runs against the Cubs. You wouldn't expect that to be the team, but that just shows how great he's been over the last 2.5 months or whatever, you know? So it's going to be a tough test for the Padres. Last time the Padres faced Julio Urias was on September 10th, and Urias went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs. Padres faced Urias on the 3rd of this month. He went 6 innings, gave up only 1 run. So again, it's tough. He is tough from the left side there, and obviously with the lefty on the mound, you can cancel out guys being in the lineup. Grisham is one of those guys, right? Josh Bell sometimes, when lefties are on the mound, sometimes they don't have him go, and they want Will Myers to be in the lineup, at least to start every at-bat right on left. And Myers, I think he hits lefties pretty well. I'm not saying he hits Urias pretty well. No one really hits Urias very well except Manny. Myers is hitting 150 off of him in 20 at-bats. Manny's hitting 304. He's my Padre pick, by the way. I went with I went with Kim last night. He did not get a hit. I think I was thinking about going with Brandon Drury, who I believe ended up getting a hit, the little nubber. Or that was an error. So I made the wrong pick there, but so obviously with the Padres lineup, the interesting thing is having no Luis Camposano in there. I think that caught some of the fan base by surprise, including me. To be honest, Camposano's been catching Musgrove for the last 3 starts or something like that, and Musgrove seems like he's been pretty confident with Campy behind the plate. Given Nola a day off, Campy's a better offensive option, I think, than Nola is. So it just felt like the good combo there. But Bomel is putting his trust in Nola. They are going all in with Nola, going throughout the rest of this regular season, or at least until they clinch a postseason spot. And I think they're doing that because they probably trust Nola the most. Of those 3 guys, Musgrove probably trusts Nola still more than Campy, even though Campy's caught Musgrove recently. I think the trust thing, that's big. I think game planning and knowing hitters, I think that's big as well. I'm not saying Campy doesn't know Dodgers hitters or he can't study the Dodger hitters and know what to throw. But Nola's just had more experience behind the plate with Musgrove, with this whole pitching staff, pitching to Dodgers hitters, game planning against them and stuff like that. So maybe that's why they're going with Nola over Campy. If they're going to go with Nola now, trying to get that magic number down and get closer to clinching a playoff spot, which hopefully happens this weekend, I would think that they're going to continue having Nola catch Musgrove come the postseason. But who knows? Maybe if Musgrove, really struggles tonight, maybe they go back to Campy. I don't know. But you obviously hope, if they're going to go with Nola, you hope that he can get hot at the plate. He's actually been pretty fine at the plate in terms of hits. He's not going too long, I don't think, just based on the eye test. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but based on just what I remember from his at bats, they're okay. The power, it's not there. Let me look. I'm looking up the game logs for Nola. While that loads, Joe Musgrove in his last start went 5 innings, gave up 1 earned run. Some might have wanted to be concerned, right when they pulled Musgrove, he only went 72 pitches in that start, but that was planned. He was kind of sore, fatigue a little bit going into that start, last week against the Cardinals. So they didn't want to push it. There was no reason to push it. And so they got 5 solid innings out of him. Gave up 1 run against a good Cardinals offense, and that's fine. You move on. And the bullpen, yeah, they gave it up. I think Martinez and Morahone, they weren't their best that game. I think that's the game that Musgrove started. It was last Wednesday, last Thursday? Last Thursday at Petco. But I'm not concerned about Musgrove. I believe he told the media that he feels better, and that fatigue stuff is kind of behind him now. So I would expect Musgrove to go back out there and kind of have like a start that he had in Arizona, where stuff was working, the velocity was there. He can go 6 innings and give a quality start. So obviously, that's what you hope from Joe today. And I'm pulling up the game logs for Nola here. Just getting back to his hitting at the plate. 3-game hitting, or no. Yeah, 3-game hitting streak right now. He hasn't had a long hitless streak since the beginning of this month, so that's good. I feel like he's getting on base more. In Nola's last, what is it? Nola's last 10 games, he's hitting almost 300, 310 on base percentage, 8 hits. So I think he is improving at the plate, or at least he's been doing better as of late at the plate. I don't know if you probably shouldn't be expecting anything out of him like of significance tonight. At least when like Urias is on the mound, he's hitting 0.91 off of him in 11 at bats. But I'm more interested to see how Musgrove and Nola do as the battery tonight, pitching wise, performance wise, there than Nola at the plate, because Nola hasn't caught Musgrove. I don't think, right? He hasn't caught Musgrove in probably like a month, 4 weeks. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Padres lineup is out, by the way, the full lineup. Kim is leading off at short, so it feels like he is, or at least when a lefty's on the mound, he's leading off. Shortstop, Soto's in right field batting second. Batting third is Manny. He's at third, obviously. Drury is DHing. Myers is at first after being in left last night, or at least starting in left field. Crony's at second base, batting sixth. Profar's in left. Nola is catching. And Azokar, lefty on the mound. Azokar is going to be in center field tonight. He is batting ninth. Maybe you see Grisham come into the game or something, have an at-bat, try to bunt, or be a defensive replacement like he kind of was last. I know he had some at-bats last night, but they had him in there for defense. They had a lead there in that ninth inning, and obviously they couldn't hold it. Kim had the air. Alfaro had the pass ball. That ball should have been caught. But they put him in there with a lead for defense. But he had he struck out, I think. He struck out at least once. It was swinging, so it's progress. But he struck out, he has struck out 32 of his last 62 at-bats or plate appearances. I saw that in Kevin Acey's newsletter today, so that's not so good. In the playoffs, maybe they start Grisham more because they feel like they want Grisham's defense the whole game more than Azokar maybe having better at-bats than Grisham or putting the ball in play more than Grisham. Because in the playoffs, it does feel like it's going to be more about the defense and the pitching and just not making errors and trying to scratch out some runs. And maybe they find Grisham to be more valuable than Azokar in the playoffs, like defensively, if they're more confident in him in center than they are with the Zokar, which they probably are, maybe a little bit. He can lay down a bunt if they want him to in some situations. So maybe they go that way. But tonight, it's Jose Zokar batting ninth and playing center field. As for the bullpen situation, they probably used more guys than they wanted to last night because Nick Martinez, they took out in the middle of an inning, put Robert Suarez in there. Suarez, I would think, wouldn't go today. He went 32 pitches yesterday. And on top of that, they pitched Hader, Garcia, I already talked about Martinez. He went 26 pitches yesterday. They had Morahone warming up. I was at the game. They had him warming up at one point. He didn't go in. Pierce Johnson threw. I would think that Johnson would be available. Morahone, obviously. Wilson, Garcia, Hader, they probably would be available today. But I would think they'd want to stay away from Martinez if they want him to go more than 3 outs for Thursday's game. Obviously, you don't want to pitch Stammen unless it's, the game's over. And Suarez, you don't want to probably pitch him back-to-back days after throwing 32 pitches yesterday. He had a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of pitches. And it was a high leverage situation, right? I forget how deep into the game it was. Was it the 7th inning that he was pitching? Let me check. But it feels like, the Dodgers, we know the Dodgers lineup, it's so talented that all of these innings do feel like high leverage innings. Because if you're off for an inning, I mean, we saw with Blake Snell a couple starts ago when he faced the Dodgers, or a few starts ago, whenever it was. He had that blow up 5th inning, right? So it does feel like, regardless of when it is, all of these situations are high leverage. Martinez came in, or excuse me, Suarez, that's who I was talking about. Suarez came in to end the 6th. Yeah, end the 6th and then pitch through the 7th. So I wouldn't think he'd be available. But the bullpen, I don't think it's in terrible shape tonight, to be honest. The pitch counts, they got around 20 pitches for a few guys. Johnson, 12. I thought he pitched great in that 10th inning. Yeah, 10th inning. To push it to the bottom of the 10th before the walk-off walk. So good job out of him. So that's what the bullpen situation looks like today. Again, 6:40 is the first pitch. Dodgers lineup, did I already talk about that? I don't think I did. Betts is leading off and right. Trey Turner's at shortstop. Freddie Freeman's at first. Will Smith is catching. Max Muncy is at third base. Joey Gallo is in left. Gavin Lux is at second base. Chris Taylor is DHing. That's not really a guy that you think would be a DH, but okay. Cody Bellinger is batting ninth, and he is in center field. Matchup-wise, the Dodgers against Musgrove. I mean, Mookie Betts hitting 300 off him. Freddie Freeman 400 off him. Max Muncy 450 off of him. So top of the line, or pretty much 1 through 5, is what you're really going to want to zone in on. Justin Turner's not in there, despite hitting 429 off of him in 14 at bats in their careers. Bottom of the order, it's not so hot. So it's more, Freeman, Betts, Muncy, those guys are the ones that hit the best off of Musgrove. Milwaukee, by the way, they start off at 4:40, first pitch. That's in Milwaukee against St. Louis. Brandon Woodruff is on the mound for Milwaukee. And Philly is playing at Wrigley. That is at 4:40. Padres ahead of them in the wild card race. And obviously they are ahead of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's looking up at Philly. And Philly is looking up at us, the Padres. Aaron Judge, by the way, just baseball. I know that's a big baseball headline or stuff that we're paying attention to. He still has not hit home run number 61. He's at 60. He's gone like 7 games or something. Longest this season without hitting a home run. The Maris family is still there, waiting to see Aaron Judge tie. It's Maris' son that's there. So he's waiting to see Judge tie his dad's AL Yankee home run single season record, and he's not doing it. He was walked like 4 times last night. So it's not like he's pressing or anything. He's actually doing the opposite of that. But that's it. 407, if you're interested in that. It's probably going to be on like MLB Network. All right, let's get to the chat here and the pregame show with the chat. Wolfpack says, think I'd put in Manaea or maybe call up Weathers. Are you talking about Thursday's game? Maybe. They have not announced the Thursday starter yet. Could be Darvish or could be Manaea, I think. Gil says Kinnear or Groom also worth a look. I did see Groom starting El Paso's like championship game or something. So I mean, they could always change that. Major League has more importance than the minor leagues, but I don't think they'd call up Jay Groom, at least right now for this week, or at least through Friday. Yep, you're speaking for all of us. So, yeah, hopefully we can win a series against the Dodgers today. That definitely gives fans the confidence that this team can beat the Dodgers come postseason time if they do meet in the NLDS. Let's say the Padres are the 5 seed, they beat the Braves or the Mets, whoever loses the East, beat that team on the road, and then they go face the Dodgers. You'll have more confidence if they can win a series against them, right? You have your top 3 guys, or maybe your top 3 if Darvish pitches tomorrow, going in this series. Snell, Musgrove, and then Darvish maybe. You have those 3 guys, you win this series, you'd probably have a combination of those guys pitching in the division series. So, yeah, it gives you confidence, definitely. And we don't know about the Dodgers' health. Like Tony Gonsolin, he only pitched 2 innings, I think, for AAA Oklahoma City last night in the Dodgers farm system. So he might only be built up to like 4 innings come the NLDS whenever they need him. Right now, if no Gonsolin, they don't have May. He's on the IL. Bueller's done for the year. So right now, I believe it's Sirius, Kershaw, and Tyler Anderson who pitched last night. Those are their top 3 starters. So the Padres have the advantage there. J-Fly says we cannot put Manaea in against the Dodgers. I mean, I kind of disagree with that. Like in the playoffs, probably, but like in the regular season, what if the Padres win tonight? Musgrove pitches great, offense comes through, Padres win like 3-1 or something, whatever, and they've already won the series, so your magic number is down to 3. Would you put Darvish still on the mound tomorrow, or would you save him for like Friday and give him some extra rest and put Manaea in there? Because you probably wouldn't have to win tomorrow. Obviously, you wouldn't have to win tomorrow, especially if you win today. Like, the magic number is down to 3, and then that means that Milwaukee, they would pretty much have to be perfect. You know, like, if they'd have, 7 games remaining after tonight? Let's say they win tonight, Padres win tonight, magic number is 3, uh, then Milwaukee would pretty much have to go almost undefeated. Like, they can't afford to lose. So I think the Padres can afford to put Manaea out there, like, especially if they win today, and especially if they win today and Milwaukee loses and the magic number is 2. You know, Manaea, hey, maybe he brings you a quality start. Like, I think you really got to start prioritizing the rest for those big starting pitchers, setting them up well for the wild card series. All right, I think that's going to do it. Talking Friars pregame show, September 28th, 2022. Padres, Dodgers, 6:40 tonight. Urias against Musgrove. Enjoy the game, everyone. I'll have the clips at Talking Friars on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. Daily Padres content. Enjoying the game, everyone. If you're going, have fun. Continue to keep the faith. This team looks headed to the playoffs. It's a fun time to be a Padres fan right now. All right, see you, everybody.